to Las Vegas. Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks upset the Knicks, Perk, in the Garden last night to advance to the semis against Giannis and the Bucks. And those young Rockets, they took down Steph and the Warriors in Houston to play OKC Saturday night on ABC. We're going to cover every angle of those two thrilling games and look ahead to the semis over the weekend. Welcome into our Los Angeles studios alongside our senior insider, Shams Charania. Danny Green is in the building. Kendrick Perkins here as always.
I was 0 for 2 last night.
It's all right, Perk. Some days it happens. We all win.
Yeah.
We get to go to Vegas, right? We got a lot to get into in this show. Jason Williams, J-Dub from OKC joining. Dyson Daniels joining as well from the Atlanta Hawks. So let's get this ball rolling, shall we? We start our show, Perk. What do you say? In H-Town?
Yeah, H-Town.
Rockets and Dubs, they were locked in a hard-nosed, drag-out fight for the final spot in Las Vegas. And the Houston Rockets have booked their flight to Las Vegas. Let's take a listen to Steve Kerr, understandably upset after that call.
Our guys battled back, played their off, and deserved to win that game, or at least have a chance for one stop at the end to finish the game. And that's taken because that guy would have had feel and said, you know what, I'm not going to decide a game on a loose ball 80 feet from the basket.
The pattern of, scoreless kind of droughts down the stretch has to be addressed, or else we're going to be a mediocre team. I take responsibility for, not being able to get us organized or not being able to finish plays. Like, the ball's in my hands, I got to make shots.
All right, we're going to dive into this blame pie, but Perk, just your reaction real quick to, Steve Kerr saying an elementary school ref would have been able to make that call differently.
Well, he's going to get fined. That's the first reaction. The second reaction is, oh, poor baby. It shouldn't have came down to that. A wise man told me, don't leave the game in the official hands. They had an opportunity to take care of business throughout the course of the game, and they didn't.
Okay, so if it didn't come down to that in your mind, what is the main reason that Golden State lost here?
Too many wasted possessions throughout the course of the game, and we saw one of them on the highlight. Look, I would never take anything away from Draymond Green and his ability to pass the ball and create for others. But there's so many times that he was trying to thread the needle to Jonathan Kuminga, especially in the first half. And look at these careless, unforced turnovers. Like, what was that? What was that? Like, everyone is trying to make the home run play instead of the simple play. Sometimes it's okay to make the hockey assist.
Yeah, 22 turnovers is not going to get it done. And scoring 90 points as well is not going to get it done. You got to find a way to put up points on the board and also take care of the ball. That's the only way that gives you a chance, especially against a team like the Houston Rockets. Young, a lot of energy, active. But give credit to Houston. They got the win. They got on the floor. They got down and gritty. They turned them over. They made them shot clock violations numerous times. They played a hell of a game. And that's Ime Udoka. I have to give him credit for that.
Amen.
Yeah, I think from the Rockets' perspective, when I look at this game, they're starting to put together these wins. And by the way, you saw the reaction from that team when they won a regular season game. You think about what the NBA Cup means for this league. This level of excitement for regular season games, and these players, yes, they want the money. You know who wants the money even more is the coaches.
You know what? Everyone likes a little extra bread here and there. There's nothing wrong with that. One discussion, I know you had heard this as well, Shams, that has happened sort of since this game ended, was did Steph take that shot too early? What would you say to that, Danny?
I like the shot. He got a good look. It could have been a little later, but you got to give Dylan Brooks pressured him. He made him make the move earlier than he wanted to. He got a step back look against a really good defender. A three. They did. Gary Payton got it, lost it a little bit, threw it away. Jalen Green got to the floor, called the timeout. Was a suspect call? Yes, but you can't put yourself in that position. But Steph had a chance to put the game away.
Yeah, it was a little too early, but it wasn't a suspect call, okay? And last night I fell victim to this, right? I tweeted out, Billy, you cannot make that call. What the hell are you doing, basically? And I was wrong, just like everybody else who's wrong, who's questioning the call. It was a foul. It was a foul. Kuminga literally went across Jalen Green's face, and you have to officiate the game like you would at the start of the game. You have to make the call at the end of the game. No question. It was a foul.
At the end of the day, the Warriors are going home. The Rockets, they're moving on to face the Thunder. So let's go in the bonus on that matchup because this is going to be interesting. Points are going to be hard to come by in this game. These two teams, they boast the best defenses in the NBA this season. You name the defensive categories, they're up there. I mean, efficiency, opponent field goal percentage, defense versus drives, defense against on-ball screens. I'm talking check, check, and check. But one place where the Rockets have the advantage here, that's on the boards. They lead the league in rebounding percentage, which means they grab the largest percent of available rebounds in any game. So that means they're creating more possessions. The Thunder, meanwhile, they rank third to last. So let's dive into this matchup a little more, because both of these two teams, some of the youngest in the NBA, and are getting experience playing now in a high-pressure situation, Danny. What's going to be the key?
I mean, this is a game for OKC to lose, but I like Houston's matchup because this is the cup game. This is like NCAA tournament, one-game elimination. If this was a playoff series, I'm definitely going OKC. They have the deeper talent. They have the guard play. They have the scoring. Ultimately, I'm just hoping that they lay an egg and Houston plays better. That's what my gamble is. I think, Houston will have guys score more. They didn't score a lot last game. OKC had a great game against Dallas. They scored in bunches. Jalen and Shea played well. But this is why I have my money on Houston. Not because they're going to try to limit them. On the other end of it, we got the torture chamber.
Dun, dun, dun.
This guy, they're very good defensively too. Obviously, number one in the league right now. And because this guy, guys like him, Alex Caruso, guarding Luka Doncic, the best scorer in our game outside of Jokic. He's probably the second best scorer in our game right now. In the post, one-on-one, plays him square up, makes him alter his shot, which you don't see often on the fadeaway, because most guys get a fadeaway off, but he's able to do it because he's so good at predicting and, I guess, seeing what your second move is going to be.
OKC is going to smoke Houston, okay? and I love the Rockets. They're just too good defensively, and I'm talking about Oklahoma City. It's a reason why they're number one in everything. And the way that Shea is playing right now, look, he is the best offensive player, perimeter player in the league. Okay, but when you look across the board, you look at how the Rockets were able to play and trap Steph. You can't do that against Oklahoma City. They have too many guys that can shoot. Isaiah Hartenstein, he doesn't get enough credit for his playmaking ability. But if Houston do stand a chance, right, and they want a fighting chance to beat them, they better go through baby Jokic. Şengün, you got to force feed him and play off of him, because
Big
that's
Turk.
what they did not baby Jokic. Yeah, baby Jokic, not Big Turk, baby Jokic.
Perk, your guy, Baby Jokic,
Yeah.
and Jalen Green. Those are the two guys that I'm looking at in this game, because they need the young guys to step up in some of these moments, because we know Fred VanVleet, Dillon Brooks, there's a level of stability that they gave, and that's what went into their decision to go get them as free agents. And Ime Udoka, you guys know it, he's one of the biggest win-now coaches. He's essentially a championship coach in his own right. And when you have him, you have those vets, you need the young guys, and they have, for the most part, Şengün and Jalen Green. This is a big moment for them.
Yeah, both of these teams looking to use this as a springboard, because they both have postseason aspirations, and this is one of the first experiences for the Rockets in particular that they're going to get in these high
Style.
New York City, biggest stage, everybody had the Knicks beating us.
Trae Young with a miraculous shot.
It got real quiet at the end. Wanted to hear those FU chants again.
Fires from way downtown. Young takes the bow after that. That's why the crowd is booing him.
Wanted to let the fans know the show was over.
Trae Young versus New York. Is there a better player-city rivalry?
Right now, hey, look, right now his home is in Atlanta, but he resides in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I mean, they call him the king of New York for a reason. Trae won 3 of his last 4 in Madison Square Garden entering last night. They struggled early here. OG Anunoby, you had high praise for.
Oh, grown man.
They played good defense on Trae early on, but that didn't last very long.
It didn't. The Knicks, though, had some success here, particularly in the first half. Josh Hart in a little spin cycle there, muscles it to the basket and gets that one to go. Trae Young pushing the pace now. The Hawks unable to respond.
I love Karl Anthony Towns playing with this type of passion, this type of tenacity.
The Knicks bench all the way fired up after that sequence. Cat with some great defense there in the paint. Ahead to the third quarter we go, though, here. Young, this is when he started to take over. The Hawks trail by 1. Young pulls up from 3.
Yeah, it was a 17-point swing. It got ugly for him, but it started with Trae.
That was from 31 feet, anyone who was checking there. The Knicks trying to respond and can't. Trae Young, a little outlet pass. And all of a sudden, Knicks fans starting to get mighty nervous here.
For good reason.
Yeah, I mean, the Hawks were getting out in transition, but look, forcing turnovers to easy baskets.
Jalen Johnson terrific game from this young player. He's going to be joining us.
No resistance
here in
at the
Vegas.
rim by New York here. That kind of was a little bit of a theme there in that stretch in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely. Johnson, 21 points in the game. The Hawks continue to push the lead.
Moving the ball.
DeAndre Hunter, nice little corner three as Atlanta continues to pull away in this one. Trae Young, again.
What a connection. What a connection.
That's a heartbreak right there.
That cut out of the corner, Trae Young finding them. The skip. Hey,
22 points, 11 assists.
Roll those dice.
As he rolls the dice. Here's how it sounded in Madison Square Garden after Trae Young took a final bow.
This is your house, bro. This is your house, you feel me? This is your house, you feel me? Let them know. Let them know. Hey, we going to Vegas. The whole group came in. The whole group came in. They don't win it.
But the celebration didn't end there. Trae Young posted this after the game, rolling the dice at center court with the hashtag #WeMove. He is fully embracing the villain role in MSG. We're calling him Dice Trae now. Check out how long he's been thinking about this celebration.
I planned that one with my little brother a few days ago. We had talked about that, and I knew what I was going to do. We were going to Vegas, so that's what I had to do. The mindset that I have is I try to embrace the moment as much as I can. Like, I know the work that I put in all season. I know what I've done, and so I know I'm ready for any moment. And at the end of the day, the crowd can only do so much. They can't guard me. They can't block my shot. They can't do anything. So, I mean, we all get anxious. We all get nervous. But when you trust the work that you put in whatever field you're in, I mean, when you trust the work, it all pays off, and you feel good in the end.
And so Trae Young, the villain, continues. Our front office insider, Bobby Marks, is joining us for this segment. Do you know why, Kendrick Perkins? Because Bobby, for days, has been telling us, you know what, I have a feeling. He picked the Hawks.
I called them dangerous, and last night I thought they were a little frisky.
Dangerously looming, and they proved to be much more than that. What did they expose in the Knicks last night?
Well, I'll say this. Trae Young is right. The game is won between the lines, and that's exactly what the Hawks did. And I think the Hawks are a prime example of stop looking at the name on the back of the jersey, name on the front of the jersey. And what they exposed was Jalen Brunson. I've never seen him struggle to get his shot off like I did last night, and it's the size and athleticism. Also, you know, when you look at him, this kid Dyson Daniels,
the great barrier thief.
I mean, damn, the closeouts, Clint Capella anchoring the defense. And then, you know how many post-ups Karl Anthony Towns had last night? The same amount as me. 0. That cannot happen throughout the course of the game. If your shots are not falling, New York, and you're not defending, how about go to the big fella on the block a few times? Slow the game down. Try to get some guys in some foul trouble. Get them to the free throw line. He got great post work. He's skilled down there. I mean, damn.
Yeah. Well, this also showed New York's lack of depth. The bench for Atlanta was amazing last night. Bogey coming off the bench, DeAndre Hunter coming off the bench. And obviously you can't stop Trae one-on-one. We know that. But when you surround him with these pieces like Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, Bogey, and they didn't even score a bunch, but it's 108. But defensively, they were all over the place. And it allowed, Trae to be Trae offensively. So Dyson Daniels get a lot of credit. He slowed down Brunson. Jalen Johnson, his length and athleticism is unbelievable. The way he's contesting shots, flying on the floor. People talk about his offense, but defensively, he is such a big factor for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo what Danny just said. I think when they made the Karl Anthony Towns trade, the biggest question was depth. 43-14 last night in bench points, 2 of 11 from 3 from the Knicks shooters here. Hopefully reinforcements are coming when you look at maybe Mitchell Robinson down the road here, but I just saw a lot of young, fresh legs in that Atlanta team last night.
Yeah, and Atlanta, we've been asking, who's the Indiana of this year? Who's the team that can use the cup as a way to sort of propel themselves maybe to some play in May and June? Maybe Atlanta is one that could be knocking on that door. Still to come on in the last 9 games, with the only loss in this stretch by 3 to none other than the Houston Rockets. Ooh, that's setting up for some spiciness in Vegas. OKC's offense has been 5th in the NBA in this span, thanks to just under 23 points a game from Jalen Williams. And guess who's joining us now? One of the most exciting young players in the league. Of course, he helped Oklahoma City secure a spot in the NBA Cup semifinals. J-Dub, thank you so much for making the time.
Yeah, no problem.
We really appreciate you stopping by. Let's start with the NBA Cup because you all beat the Mavericks to secure a spot here in Las Vegas. It feels like from the outside, there could be a little rivalry budding here, right? They knocked you out of the playoffs last year. You get them back this time. Do you take that matchup personally?
I think so to a certain extent. Like you said, I think them bumping us out the playoffs, I feel like there's always going to be any added extra motivation. That would be it. But yeah, we try not to get caught up into it. But that game does have a lot of juice every time we play them.
Yeah, we look forward to watching it, to seeing you guys play. But now you get the win, and your little Texas two-step, and the path to the Cup Finals continues with the Rockets, the top 2 defenses in the NBA. Did either one of you crack 90 points in this game?
As long as it doesn't matter what we crack, as long as we can win, it should be cool. Obviously, their defense has been terrific all year. They're starting to cross the threshold of being a really good team, and they've been exceptional all year. So we're kind of looking forward to a battle, and they went toe-to-toe with Golden State last night too. So definitely looking forward to a war.
Let's talk about SGA a little bit. You and him have become very close. And I love this. In your pre-draft interview, before you were even drafted into the NBA, you said that your game has a lot of similarities. You said your build has a lot of similarities, and maybe you even modeled some of your game after his. What does your relationship look like now?
Yeah, it's kind of like an older brother. I've been able to work out with him for a couple summers, and we've just kind of grew closer to that. Obviously, like the fashion stuff.
Yeah.
We bond too, but yeah, just on the court, he's been a good leader. Like I said, kind of like a big brother role. I've been able to kind of model some of my game after him, and also learn just the way that he approaches the game and what he does to be successful.
Another fun fact about you, you have a tattoo, right, of AI stepping over Ty Lue. What made you decide to get that, and have you shown it to Coach Lue?
I have been adamant on not showing him. Obviously there's no disrespect to T. Lue, obviously a great player, but I'm a big AI fan. That's obviously one of the biggest basketball moments ever. So yeah, I just thought it was a cool tattoo, but it's on my thigh. It gets covered when we play the Clippers, so.
Just making sure, taking that extra care. All right, one of my favorite things about this group is your post-game interviews, and I actually want to bring in my dear friend Kendrick Perkins, who was a part of the Oklahoma City Thunder, of course, as well. For anyone who's missed these interviews post-game, just check this out real quick.
Hold on.
Well, congrats on the win. Congrats on the performance. His debut game, his debut park.
J-Dub.
Amazon handles shipping and logistics for small businesses, so they don't have to.
Look, y'all can't be up there barking like some labradoodles, man. You gotta sound like a Rottweiler, man, a pit bull or something, man. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, maybe y'all could work on that. But I got one question. So obviously you're on a great team. I believe you have a very promising future. 23 years old. What are some individual goals that you have for yourself in your NBA career?
I think just I want to get better every year. I think whenever the year ends for us, and however it does, I don't ever want to look back and look and see if I stayed the same and whatnot. So a lot of my individual goals are just getting better and just seeing where that takes me. I think obviously I know I'm talented, and there's a lot of stuff that I can do, but I think just every year I want to be able to say I got way better at one thing. And then obviously when you add the course of years being in the NBA, that's holes in my game. So that's something that I've looked forward to. And then obviously, every kid growing up wants to be MVP and win championships and go to all-star games and all that stuff. So I try not to get too caught up in that, but just try and play as well as I can and let all that other stuff kind of fizzle out.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we let you go, I gotta ask, what do you think of Perk's Rottweiler bark there? Could he enjoy the interviews with that work, or do you think he's still got some form to work on?
No, that was good. The growl was a little much to start, but the bark at the end was good. You got a good bark in there.
See, Perk, there you go. You still got it, my friend. J-Dub, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and we will see you in Las Vegas.
Cool. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, now let's go coast to coast, brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. This is a little different than our usual coast to coast. It's taking a look at where Jimmy Butler may end up, because Shams reported yesterday that Butler has his sights set on 4 teams that he could be traded to. They include the Mavericks, the Rockets, the Suns, and the Warriors. Butler's agent, Bernie Lee, he posted on social media refuting this. ESPN stands by our reporting. But before all of that, Jimmy spoke to reporters Wednesday on how he's dealing with this trade chatter.
I actually like it. It's good to be talked about. I don't think there's a such thing as like bad publicity to a point. But you know, somebody talking about me getting traded, that's a lot. I'm not worried about no extension. We handle all of that whenever it gets here. Take it day by day. The more articles that come out, the more you're gonna ask me questions about it. So keep the articles coming.
All right, Shams, you have been on the forefront of this reporting surrounding Butler, but how exactly have we gotten to this point with the Heat and with Jimmy?
So from the offseason to now, what's transpired is the season ends. He obviously wants a contract extension. He has this season at $49 million on his deal and a $52 million player option for next season, and that plays a big part in everything. Pat Riley came out after the season ended last year, made some pretty poignant comments. They were at their place, no extension, and they weren't going to move off that. And Jimmy Butler has made it clear around the league that he also intends to opt out of his deal and become a free agent. That gives him a level of leverage here. And as I reported on Tuesday in my Inside Pass, the Heat are beginning to listen to offers for Jimmy Butler. And there have been 3 teams at that point that were communicated around the league as teams Jimmy Butler would be open to going to in a win-now contending situation. That's the Dallas Mavericks, the Houston Rockets, and the Golden State Warriors. And yesterday I reported that the Suns were included in that list. And so if you're the Heat, they've been really in the middle of the pack the last couple of years in the standings, in the play-in tournament race. They have to see what's out there. And Jimmy Butler, likewise, he's entering the last year of his deal potentially. If he opts out, what happens there? What happens with him, his options. So this is something that's fluid, and we'll be monitoring this pretty much daily up until the trade deadline.
When you mention the Phoenix Suns, I start thinking about second apron teams, and then I need to bring in the human calculator. Anytime we get into those conversations, it's a good thing Bobby Marks is here to explain how these teams could make a move for Jimmy. Bobby, please share your knowledge.
Yeah, we're going to start with Phoenix here.
All right, great.
When you look at Phoenix and Miami, it's actually probably more of the simpler trade just from a money standpoint when you're looking at it, because Jimmy Butler is at $49 million. Now here's the big if. Bradley Beal. He's got a no trade clause that carried over in the trade from Washington here. If Beal waived the no trade clause, and certainly when you look at it from Phoenix's perspective, they have a first round pick. That actually works, but from Miami's perspective, Beal has $110 million left on his contract here. So it doesn't really make sense. You would rather just, you add in a player like Thomas Bryant here. That certainly works. But as I said, Miami would be better off just extending Jimmy Butler than taking on that Bradley Beal contract. And certainly Beal would have to waive that no trade clause. The other team, certainly, that we're going to keep an eye on, as Shams mentioned here, is certainly going to be Golden State. And similar to where Dallas is, they would basically have to send out about 3 or 4 players in a Jimmy Butler type trade. And when you look at it, certainly Andrew Wiggins is going to be another player. DeAnthony Melton. See, we start stacking the money here. When you look at Melton, Buddy Hield, Lindy Waters, it's basically going to take them about 4 players to go out and do a Jimmy Butler type deal. And that's going to be the same situation as the Dallas Mavericks. So when you look at it from that perspective here, it works, but it's basically sending out 4 players. So similar to what Dallas is going to go through, getting Jimmy Butler will cost you your depth here.
Okay, so that's some of the calculations here. Dallas, Golden State, Suns, Rockets. Perk, you look pensive. Is there a destination you prefer?
I told you about using them big words. I told you.
I like alliteration. Pensive.
Look. Any one of those situations, I believe Jimmy Butler could help any one of those teams. But at this point, we got to ask ourselves, is it worth it, right? Pat Riley didn't extend Jimmy Butler this offseason, and it was the right decision by Pat Riley. It was a business decision. We're talking about a guy that's 35 years old. We're talking about a guy that's going that's basically the back end of his prime. So does it really make sense? I feel like at this point in his career, he's auditioning to show that he's capable of getting this max dollar. So who is Jimmy Butler, DG? he's not a second option no more. Is he the third option on the contending team?
More than likely a third option, but he's a very good player. That's who he
is. There.
No, and he shows up in the playoffs. The stigma with him is that he doesn't play regular season. He's not as available. We know he can make an impact on any of these teams. As Mr. Mark's shown, it's going to take a lot of pieces. And why would Miami want
Mr. Mark?
Why would Miami want these pieces? You know, some of the pieces that they have to go. Why would those teams want to give up those pieces for Jimmy? The dollar amount that he wants, it's hard for him to go to these contending teams with them having to give up so many pieces. I don't see that happening. So what he's looking for, an extension, he's probably have to go to a lower tier team than those teams that he's looking for.
You could just call him Bob.
All right, Mr. Green, thank you so much for that insight. The annual NBA
by Wingstop.
Let's take a look at today's electric moment brought to you by Hyundai. Trae Young, he stole the show last night. 22 points, 11 assists to advance the Hawks past the Knicks in the NBA Cup. Though it was Trae's showmanship, right, to the MSG faithful. It had him top billing. But let's take a look at where he ranks all time in Madison Square Garden villains, right? Because you got Joel Embiid. It all boiled over last year, right? It was New York's dramatic 6-game series win over Philly. The MSG faithful chanted blank Embiid for a solid 2 weeks, I would say there. And then coming in at number 4, how about Alonzo Mourning, Perk? It all stems from this fight with Larry Johnson in '98 in the playoffs. I mean, look at Jeff Van Gundy.
I'm just saying, that's when the NBA was really hot.
Back in the good old days, huh?
Yeah, look at him. There's some real.
There was no hold me back then. And then I think this is where we're comfortable putting Trae Young, right? You saw what he did last night. It goes back to the 2021 playoffs, the game winners, the bows, the hallmark, ice Trae shiver, and then now it's dice Trae. But you can't put him above Michael Jordan, right? The insane cradle in MSG in his debut was a sign of things to come. Dunking on Ewing.
And one of those was when MJ had hair.
And then he had the iconic double nickel game wearing number 45 as well. And then who's number 1? It's Reggie Miller. Epic battles in the 90s between Reggie and the Knicks, especially Spike Lee of the Knicks faithful. We all remember his 8 points in 9 seconds, right? So Trae Young joining some pretty outstanding company there. What were the Hawks able to do, Perk, in this game, and what is in store for the Milwaukee Bucks, their next opponent?
This is the part when I take over, Malika?
This is the part where
okay, well, let me take over. I'm with my brother from another mother, my boy Danny Green up here, and we about to show you why the Hawks are so dangerous. It's the perimeter play, the perimeter defense. Look at this. 6'5", Bogdanovich, Dyson Daniels, 6'7".
Risa Shea.
Thank you, 6'8". I'll work on his name in the next couple months. Jalen Johnson, 6'8". Hunter, 6'8". Look at the wingspans, right? This is why they cause so many problems. This is why they have so many signature wins against the elite teams in the Eastern Conference. Look at this. This is Giannis Antetokounmpo, and look how he's sliding those puppies, keeping the ball in front of him. Look at the activity on the weak side. Here we go again. Giannis Antetokounmpo, we know he loves to get downhill. Look at Dyson Daniels getting in front of him. Look at the other young fella. Chase down block right here, meeting them at the basket. That size, the athleticism, the length is going to cause problems for the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm not saying they're going to stop Giannis, but they definitely have a golden opportunity of containing him.
Yeah, well, that being said, they also got to stop Damian Lillard. And the guy that I think is for the job, Dyson Daniels. With how well he guarded Jalen Brunson, he's the guy that's going to slow him down. Obviously, Jalen Brunson, the head of the snake, slowed him down. As you see, 6 for 19 from the field, 3 for 11 from 3 in the 2 games this season. I think it's the lowest he's had in his career against any other opponent. And how did he do it? Just being active, man. This is what they call him, the barrier reef great.
The great barrier thief.
Barrier thief. He's doing everything. The Aussie guy, being active, showing hands, showing deflections, over and under screens, not getting screened, contesting shots. But he's all over the floor. Not only him, but Jalen Johnson. Blocking a shot, you don't see this often. Jalen Brunson don't get his 3-point shot blocked like this. Because he has such a quick reflex and reaction, he's like a cat-like player. He can get into him and affect his jump shot.
He's in the midst of a breakout year in which he's nearly tripled his scoring and steals per game averages. In fact, he's on pace for the most steals per game since John Stockton. That was back in 88-89.
Yeah.
And fresh off that performance in MSG, friends, the great barrier thief himself, Dyson Daniels, joins us. Thank you so much, Dyson, for making the time.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
We're going to need to hear a little bit more about that nickname in just a little bit. But first about last night. I mean, I'm sure since coming to the Hawks, you've heard the lore of Trae Young and this team in the Garden, and now you had the unenviable task of shutting down their engine, Jalen Brunson. What did you tell yourself going into that matchup?
Yeah, I think for me, I just, the Vegas was ahead, and the team, we all set the challenge of, getting to Vegas, from the start of this NBA Cup journey. And, it was fun, going to New York, playing there in that atmosphere. And obviously Trae might be one of the most hated people in New York right now, but, being a part of that was really fun. And, going against a guy like Jalen Brunson and the Knicks is always going to be a challenge. But for me, I just lock in on what I do, playing my own game and, going out there and, being that defensive stopper that I can be.
Well, I mean, you held him to 14 points and got the win. So I'd say you did pretty well in that. But for Trae, I mean, it's always a show in MSG. We have the shush and the bow and now Dice Trae, which I just love. Did you know he was planning that celebration before? Did he let you guys know?
Oh yeah, we was talking in the locker room, I think 2 days before this game, that he was going to shoot some dice on the locker room. Perfect time, he was dribbling out the clock, and it was meant for it. And for him, being in New York and all the love and hate he gets out there, it was just right. So we planned that for sure.
Have you experienced an environment quite like that? How would you describe it? You said maybe the most hated man in New York, but just feeling that on the court, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I think it gives fuel to your whole team, coming in and they're booing, but it's kind of like an energy that you can feed off. And, when Trae, gets going, it's like he feeds off that energy. He loves it. He loves the challenge, the competition. So for him to, go in there and do his thing, which he's done a lot of times in New York, that's why they call him the King of New York.
Let's talk about your game a little bit. You're leading the league in steals this season with 73. Your deflection numbers are absolutely insane. How do you get after the basketball better than literally anybody else in the league?
I think it's always been my instincts, follow the basketball, using my hands, having quick hands. I like to think I have really good hand-eye coordination. So just knowing where the ball's going to be, knowing what defenders like to do, and reading the game as well, being in the right spots. So it's always been a strength of mine on the defensive end is, getting deflections, getting steals, blocks, stuff like that. So for me, it's just about being in the right spot and, taking the challenge of, guarding the best player every night and, getting, deflection, steals, whatever it may be.
And all that adds up to the NBA Cup semis. And a year ago, we saw Indiana, make it to the Cup finals, and they really used that to propel them to the Eastern Conference finals. How much can you see yourselves maybe drawing a similar path here?
Yeah, we think, we got a really good squad, and, people might have, doubted us or, not expected us to be here, but, we expected ourselves to be here. And, we know that if we play our own game, come in, get stops, get out and run and play the way we want to play, that we can compete with anyone. And I think we've showed that this year with some of the teams we've beat. So, to be here in Vegas and have the opportunity to, go against the Bucks on Saturday is going to be a tough challenge, but, we're going to be up for it for sure.
The Great Barrier Thief. One of the best nicknames in the NBA. We will see you in Vegas. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Malika. Appreciate it.
We're going to fill in the blank.
Okay. What are we doing?
But first, I need you to check out this post because breaking news. After the Phoenix Suns are being floated as a preferred destination, according to our Shams Charania, Jimmy Butler has dyed his hair orange tonight. He's been going with the full colors of the rainbow here. So Jimmy Butler's orange hair is blank, Perk. Thinking. I'm on the edge of my seat here, folks. Jimmy Butler's orange hair, is it an omen? Is it a sign?
It's strange. It's strange because, we never know when it comes down to these situations, right? About when teams are in trade talks and then you have his agent going on this rant, basically calling Shams out, which I believe that these reports are true. But at the end of the day, wherever Jimmy land, maybe that could be in Golden State. Who said it was Phoenix?
Well, we'll look and see the way that the hair is dyed next, maybe. All right, Bobby Marks, I got to fill in the blank for you here. Giannis Antetokounmpo will be blank at the NBA Cup. Cue the music. Cue the thinking.
What? I like this music.
I know, me too.
It put pressure on.
Yeah, it does.
It's a game show. Oh, Giannis will be the best player at the NBA Cup.
MVP type year so far this year. I don't disagree.
I know Kendrick Perkins agrees. Because what have you been calling Giannis?
He's the best player in the league right now.
Oh, you've been calling him
Jokic
the best
is.
player
I
in
mean,
the league.
look, DG, I'm not. If you pick him, that's fine.
Well, we got one more for you here, Danny. Are you ready for this one?
Yeah,
Special fill in the blank for you.
All right.
A little different here. Bill Belichick will be blank for your UNC here.
I mean, there's no other way to put it here. Let me put some exclamation points for this one.
There you go.
Oh, will
Chapel
be great
Bill.
for UNC.
Let's do it.
I like it. Chapel Bill.
Yeah.
Here. I agree with that one.
I think he's better suited for the college situation than the pros.
Yeah, I
considering how
mean,
they talk.
look, he has nothing else to prove on a professional level. He's already the greatest NFL coach of all time. He's going into college. Okay, he's 72. Go start another journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy for him to talk to the younger guys and have them be militant than it is.
Perk, you always challenge me to draw on this one. Which one?
That's really good, actually.
The Bucks.
Milwaukee Bucks.
That's actually not bad.
Got to zoom in on that. There you go.